Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a new season of News You Can Use here at LaSalle TV. I'm Thera Martin, and I am so appreciative of the opportunity to come back to the studios of LaSalle TV and to do some more great programming. So we want to thank our executive producer, Tanya Ellis, right at the top. Let her know how much we really appreciate her. Now, today on the program, we're going to do two amazing things. In our first segment, we're going to shine the spotlight on the City of Philadelphia Department of Commerce, and we're going to do that in the form of Mr. Rojer Kern. And then when we turn the page on the program, a little bit later on in the show, we're going to spotlight a nonprofit organization called Self Incorporated. Dr. Shirlana Dash, the COO of Self Inc., she'll be here to tell their story. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us. And we're back. The 39th annual Med Week comes back to Philadelphia October the 2nd through October the 6th, and it's all going to be brought to you by the City of Philadelphia Department of Commerce, and actually, let me get it right, the Office of Economic Development spearheads the whole thing.
Economic opportunity.
Economic opportunity.
Yes.
And let me just say welcome to you, Rojer Kern. Glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
And you are the Director of the Office of Business Services?
That is correct.
Okay. Let's start off talking about Med Week just a little bit, and then I want to talk about all the other wonderful things that happen through the City of Philadelphia Department of Commerce.
Very good.
So, Med Week. This is the 39th annual Med Week?
Right. And Med Week stands for the Minority Enterprise Development Week. That is what the MED stands for. Specifically, it's working with minority and women-owned businesses that have been going on now for 39 years. Each year during October, the first week of October, we have a number of different events sponsored by a wide range of organizations. The Commerce Department itself, as well as other organizations involved with economic development, various chambers of commerce from around the city, all participate in having workshops that provide information and training to entrepreneurs and highlight businesses that have been successful within the community during the past year. Again, this is the 39th one, and every year we get more and more minority enterprises being created. Specifically after the pandemic, we had a rush of new businesses that have been created, and more coming all of the time. And more are needed all of the time. Philadelphia is going through a growing phase, not only with that increase in population, with an increasing need for different types of diverse services and businesses, of different small businesses. You have the growth of the larger economic giants like Comcast and the other large businesses. But that being said, you still need all the neighborhood businesses, the basic goods and services that the community depends upon.
And that's my favorite thing to talk about is the commercial corridors, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But as for Med Week and the fact that it is October the 2nd through October the 6th, there's a variety of there's 40-some workshops or events that people can plug into.
That is correct.
Now, Roger, some of them are in-person events, and some of them are events that you can participate in by way of Zoom.
That is correct. All of them are very informational. Again, some of them are award ceremonies and events that highlight minority businesses and the success of minority businesses around the corridor. But what will happen is you can go to the MedWeek app on the city's website. That is at medweek@phila.gov, just medweek@phila.gov. And you could download the program of all 40 activities that are going on. Or you could call our business hotline. At the Office of Business Services, we have a hotline. The number there is 215-683-2100. That number is for any business that has any needs of any kind, that want to start a business or any existing business that has any type of commercial need. But in addition to that, if you wanted to get additional information about the Med Week, you can always call our hotline also.
Excellent. Well, we're glad to hear that. And I certainly want to encourage small business owners and entrepreneurs and vendors to come on out for MedWeek. There's so much you can learn. And over the years, I used to attend MedWeek like every year faithfully. I think I was straight every year for about 15 years. Didn't miss one. I was like highly involved with MedWeek and loved it so much. And then started getting other assignments and was missing the opportunity to come out for MedWeek. But I'm telling you, if you are a small business owner, vendor, an entrepreneur, you want to come out and participate in some of the MedWeek activities, particularly the in-person events where you can really network and get your name out there and distribute some of your information, perhaps.
Right. So the Office of Business Services, we're sponsoring a MedWeek event. That's going to be on October 5th at 9 a.m. at the main branch of the library. What we're going to do is we have a number of different vendors working with financing small businesses. They're going to be presenting information on how you prepare to acquire financing for your business, how you apply for different grants from those private sources that are available. We're going to go through all of that information in that 2-hour session on, again, on October the 5th.
Good.
So that's going to be at 9 a.m. But that's only one of the events among the 40 that will be held. All of them will be either, again, introducing you to successful businesses and business owners and or providing detailed information that can assist any type of business in growing.
Okay, we're talking about MedWeek. It's coming up in Philadelphia, October the 2nd through October the 6th. And it's not just a Philly thing. This is a national opportunity where minority business owners across the country take this same week and do their thing like we're doing in Philly to lift up small business owners, to share information, to make networking possible for them and things of that nature.
Right, although it did start in Philadelphia.
All right, we're proud of that, and we'll take that. We'll take that claim to fame for sure. Now, more in general, talking about the Commerce Department for the city of Philadelphia, what kinds of services can a would-be business owner expect to possibly get if they reach out to Commerce?
Well, again, with the Office of Business Services, we have 8 business service managers. Many of them are multilingual that provide information and resources to businesses of all kinds. Any service that a business needs, if a business wanted information on financing, on if they needed legal advice, if they needed training in how to help grow their business and helping to develop a business plan, we're able to refer them to a number of technical assistance agencies that provide that training in taxes, assisting with any type of issue that a business has in growing or developing. Additionally, one of the main services of the Office of Business Services is if an individual has an issue with one of the city regulatory agencies like License and Inspections, Office of Food Protection, or the Revenue Department, we can assist you in being able to talk with a real human being and getting a clear understanding of what issues are involved with any information or problem that you're having with the city regulatory agencies. The city, especially since the pandemic, most of the regulatory agencies have really been trying to be as outgoing as possible to assist businesses in maintaining and growing.
Okay. Then there's things like the SIP program, the In-Store Improvement Program. So SIP is Storefront Improvement Program.
Correct. And so that's a matching grant for businesses on certain commercial corridors scattered throughout the city, specifically low to moderate income communities scattered throughout the city of Philadelphia, that provides a matching grant for the facade work on the exterior of a commercial property. We all know that people are attracted to the appearance of a clean, safe, well-lit business. And so the Storefront Improvement Program provides that assistance in doing any type of work to the exterior facade of a building. Other programs like our In-Store Forgivable Loan Program, that program, it's a forgivable loan to a business that's expanding or increasing foot traffic to a commercial corridor. If it's creating more jobs, we provide that forgivable loan. It's forgivable in terms of it specializes in outfitting a business in any interior work that needs to be done to help a business grow. All the business has to do is stay in existence for 5 years. After, there's no repayment on the financing unless the business goes out of existence before that 5th year. But after the 5th year, the loan is totally forgiven. In the years that program has been in operation, we've only had one business that has ever failed in completing its 5 years and repaying its finances. But it's a great assistance to businesses. And right now, Commerce is trying to do more and more programs to help with intergenerational wealth building. So one of our new programs is the Serial, it's the Commercial Real Estate Acquisition Loan Fund. That program is designed to provide mortgage assistance to an entrepreneur in buying a building or buying the building where they're renting now to continue operating their business. But one of the things we want to do is help businesses to create that capital, to be able to own something that will give them the ability to borrow against a property, to expand or do other things.
Roger, one of the things that I find with some of our small businesses in Philadelphia, in fact, probably too many of them with our small businesses, they're afraid to ask for help. Just ask for help. The help is there. And so that's one of the things that I try to do. That's my mission, like every day, like telling people about the Commerce Department and the help that's there for them. But you got to start by picking up the phone, asking for the help. Or even before you pick up the phone, you might want to just log on to the Commerce Department website. There's a wealth of information there. Take your time and just peruse the whole thing.
That's correct. And the Commerce's website is simply commerce@phila.gov. If you wanted, again, to call our hotline at the 215-683-2100, you can ask, and feel free to ask any question. We're not trying to investigate anyone. We're trying to provide services and support the growth of businesses within the city.
Okay, now before we run out of time, and we're getting ready to run out of time, some people say to me, well, I only hear that the Commerce Department helps business owners that are on a business quarter, an official business quarter. What about me? There is still help for business owners that are not on quarters.
That is correct.
But you got to start by asking for help.
You have to start by asking for help. And we want businesses to grow. Even though you might be on a block, on an intersection where there's a store on each corner, but then the rest of the blocks are residential. We still provide help to those. And the Storefront Improvement Program, again, it's targeted to major commercial corridors. But then if a business is within 3 or 4 blocks of a commercial corridor, we will take that into consideration also. Again, our job is to try and help businesses grow and develop. And that's what we're trying to do in every part of the city. No matter where a business is located, if they're having an issue, again, with one of the regulatory agencies, or they're having a problem with their cash flow, or they need help, again, legal advice, or anything else that they're afraid they're going to have to spend too much money for, please ask us first.
Step up and ask for help.
Ask for help.
All
and
right.
we'll see how we can help you.
And we want to remind you that you can call the City of Philadelphia Department of Commerce at 215-683-2100. That's the golden number, 215-683-2100. Don't forget Med Week, October the 2nd through October the 6th. Roger, thank you for coming. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being able to talk.
Have a great day.
You also.
Okay, we're going to keep going as we continue with this edition of News You Can Use. Up next, we're going to be talking with Dr. Dash from Self Incorporated. Stay with us.
Meet Norm. He lives with anxiety, but with the help of this latest innovation from Be Normal, he can be normal, just like everyone else. With the swipe of a finger, you can project happiness, confidence, machismo. Why settle for being real when you can be normal? The Normal Maker. New from Be Normal. This item doesn't really work because there's no such thing as normal. We're all different. What we like, how our brains work. In fact, 1 in 5 of us live with mental illness. Don't filter who you are. Start by talking to someone you trust. And remember, there is no normal.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
People join Walk MS to raise awareness and funds that change the world for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and coworkers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
And the program continues right now. News you can use here at LaSalle TV. I'm your host, Thera Martin. You can check out this program on Comcast 56 and on Verizon Channel 36. In this segment, I'm so happy to be joined by Dr. Shirlana Dash. She is the COO of Self Incorporated. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know we had the opportunity to talk on radio, and I said, oh, this sister, I like her. She's dynamite. And I love the work that you're doing. And I've known about Self, been involved with inviting Self to come out to events that I used to do at a radio station I used to work at for 26 years, WDAS, and Self would come every year when we would do the anti-drug pavilion. And we'd have 100 organizations under that pavilion, majority of them anti-drug groups, but then also some nonprofits that just addressed other issues that were connected to drug abuse and all of that. So Self is special to me, very special to me. But I think a lot of people thought Self was just about drug recovery, but it's so much more than that. So tell our audience what all Self got going on.
It is so much more than that. Self has been around for over 40 years, and our board chairman is the Reverend Dr. Wilson Good Sr. And Self, we're actually one of the largest providers of emergency housing and shelters in the city of Philadelphia. We house over 600 to 700 people nightly, and we serve tens of thousands through our outreach, as well as our shelter programs and winter initiative. Recently, we were awarded a grant, a federal grant, and we have a new program. We literally have 8 locations, 7 different programs surrounding housing and housing insecurity for those in the city of Philadelphia. Recently, we received HUD funding to open Miss Barbara's House. Miss Barbara's House is a transitional housing program for youth and young adults 18 to 24. So often young people, homelessness looks different. The face of homelessness looks different on them. And that young people can couch surf from place to place, and it's still homelessness. And people don't always identify it as that. Without family supports and proper economic, support, they're homeless and in the street. I come from 21 years in child welfare. Working at DHS and with the city, we would see countless young people coming in the system with supports, but they would age out. And if they did not take advantage of stuff that was available, they'd end up homeless on the streets. So Self, again, we're one of the largest providers, and we're out here working every day to help support those dealing with housing insecurity.
Now, Miss Barbara's Place, that's a very special name with a special connection because Barbara was your mom.
Miss Barbara was my mother. And the board said, in order to even write the program, we spoke and had participants who lived in our shelter, who were young adults, sit down at the table. And they sat down and developed a program. And we asked the question, what is it that you would need not to be homeless, to be supported? And so we wrote the program. And at the end, we began to play with names. And somebody said, well, Dr. Dash, why are you doing this? I said, my mother, Miss Barbara. So my mother, I grew up in the heart of North Philadelphia. There were 8 of us. Mommy fed everybody. Mommy took everyone in.
Big Mama's house. Big Mama's house.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Someone in the community who looked out for everyone, fed everyone, took care of everyone. So when the young people, we began to talk about a name and we talked about what inspired me, they said, Miss Barbara's House. And I said it is, Miss Barbara's House. And the purpose of that is, for me, is personal, and that this needs to be a place of love and acceptance. So often people look at people and judge them based on what they look like on the outside. But I wanted to develop a place. We wanted somewhere where they could be inspired to live out their dreams. I want young people to know that dreaming is still real and dreams are manifested. This was my dream. When I came to Self a year ago, I talked to the board and they said, what is your vision? I said, to help eradicate youth homelessness. 3 weeks later, the mayor had a reception meeting, and HUD had announced they were giving $8.9 million to the city of Philadelphia. I came back and said to my staff, we're going to get funded. We're going to do this.
Speak it into
and
existence.
So we sat down and we began to meet every other week, and we began to develop a program. And we literally sat down. And the beautiful thing about Miss Barbara's house, who do you think is going to work in Miss Barbara's house? The people that wrote the program. Some of the very participants who are in our shelter are the very ones who's going to run the program. Who else than someone who developed this with their heart and mind to know what it is they want to do, to know what supports are needed and what they needed to change the trajectory. But the other great thing, we wanted something different. And there's a great correlation between economic empowerment and homelessness, or lack thereof, economic resources. So we've partnered and reached out to some of the unions, and we've looked at and we've developed a relationship to do some pre-apprenticeship programs for the participants in the program.
Excellent.
Because you can work at McDonald's and have a living wage, but can you really afford housing in Philadelphia?
No.
But if you get connected to the trade unions, there's a great probability that when you leave, you'll not only have a sustainable job, but you'll actually have a living wage that you can move out on your own. And so that's what we did at Ms. Barbara's
Dr.
house.
Dash, how do you get the word out to these teens that are living on the street right now that there's some help for them?
You know what? Outreach. One of the things we've written several other grants that we're waiting to hear from. One of the things we're doing is working on a youth outreach team. Who else other than the young people? But we also have talked about going out into the schools and talking to the schools, because again, homelessness on young people looks different. You can see a young person who's very well dressed and they're homeless because I'm wearing my friend's clothes and I'm sleeping on their couch. But they're still homeless because they don't have their own family or own place they're living. So one of the things we have done and we're doing is partnering with some of the schools, working with other providers that are concentrated in providing services to youth, as well as other programming. You know, DHS is around. But in addition to that, we're developing our own outreach team. We're in the process of working on funding, and we will get funded for our own youth outreach team. Who else than young people to go out in the street who live that same life and have experience to talk to somebody else. And also they're more keen at identifying where young people are. So we're also developing an outreach team to go out and work with the young people in the community.
Excellent. You know, as you're talking, I'm thinking about, okay, young people and how you get to young people. How do you connect with them? And I know the social media is one of the ways, but I'm thinking Instagram, Facebook, that stuff is for, as my daughter says, you old people.
Straight up.
So
Straight
the
up
young
old
people have a whole other social media streams that they're using that I don't even know about. But you're having young people do that work and do that outreach so they know what to do.
Live that experience. Again, we have young men in our shelter who've helped wrote the program, but they're going to work in the program. So who better than that, as well as staff people who've worked with other providers that specifically work with youth homelessness before. So the program manager actually worked at one of the other providers for several years. And so we looked about building a team of people who not only had lived experience, but the professional expertise to go along with it. So when we sit at the table, it's not just Dr. Dash and people my age, it's young people saying, this is what we need to reach young people, this is where we need to go. And so we gave them a voice. We acknowledged their voice. Me by myself, I had a vision, but the vision without people to help bring it to life, it's just a dream. But so I really reached out, and my team, they were very surprised. We got funded, I found out at the end of June, and I called all the team members who sat at the table. I said, listen, we got funded. They said, great. I said, would you like to work at Ms. Barbara's house? They said, are you serious? I said, what did you think we were doing? We were building, we were building this. I sat down with my team a few weeks ago. We had an open house, and I talked about legacy. I said, I need you to really understand this isn't my legacy, this is our legacy. Understand this is your legacy. You sat down and you wrote it, you developed it, now we're gonna make it live in action. So I want the team to know that this is our vision and it's our legacy, and we're gonna actually impact and change lives.
Very, very positive indeed. In the time that we have left, anything else that you wanted to share about Self Inc. that we didn't cover? Because I know we've talked about the housing, and that's a big piece, a big, big part of what Self does.
And that's the majority of what Self does. We have houses, we specialize in certain areas like substance abuse disorder, which again was one of the original missions of Dr. Otley, our founder. And we still have one of our locations, Ife Wellness Center, where people with substance abuse disorder goes. Then we also have places like Susquehanna House, which is for women. Then we also have Station House, a place for offenders returning home, ex-offenders. And we have a lot of services, our outreach. And then for those who may be in need, we have the Mike Henson Resource Center. It's a drop-in center and day program. If you are on the street and you need some resources, you can come into Mike Henson. You can take a bath, you can take an extra shower, you can take a shower, you can wash your clothes, you can get a meal and have a safe place. And that's important. That's important for people to know that Self is there beyond are housing on a long-term basis, that we have a drop-in center to go get help.
Where's the drop-in center?
17th and Lehigh, 1701 West Lehigh Avenue, Mike Henson Resource Center. We have a day program as well as our night-by-night. If you need to be placed while you get into shelter long-term, please come. Please step out and just come and make the connection. You can also look us up on our website at selfincorp.org, or you can always call downtown, 215-496-9610. If you need help, just reach out. And that's the one thing I want people to know. There are people willing to help you. You said it earlier, just make the call. Make the call and you'll find someone on the other end. And I tell my staff, this is personal. It's personal to me. And I charge my staff that in everything we have to be mindful. We're respectful because we're here to serve. If they get nothing, I tell the staff, respect and service go hand in hand. And we are here to serve the people we work with. And I tell people, and if you don't encounter that, believe me, call me.
Phone number one more time.
215-496-9610. That is our administrative office. And you can call that number to get any of our sites down for the main office.
Dr. Shirlana Dash, COO of Self Incorporated, thank you for being my guest.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. We are winding down on the program now. I just want to remind folks that we do have a general election coming up in Philadelphia. That's on Tuesday, November the 7th. The polls open at 7 a.m. They remain open until 8 p.m. You know, we're going to be making a decision. Who's going to be the 100th mayor for the city of Philadelphia? We're looking at our 17 city council seats. They're all up for grabs. Certainly the sheriff's office, the register of wills office, the controller's office, all up for grabs. Then we have some judicial seats, common pleas court, and a municipal court up for grabs. Then there's also some statewide judicial races as well. We just encourage you, whatever you do, please go to the polls and cast your ballots for the candidates of your choice. Vote like your life depends on it, because it really does. After we come out of the general election on November the 7th, we're heading towards a presidential election year in 2024. So if you are not registered to vote, make for sure you get registered now. You can't sit on the sidelines and complain about how awful America is, or how awful Pennsylvania is, or how awful Philadelphia is. You can make a difference by participating in the political process. That's it from me. I thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll check out our radio program on WWDB AM every Wednesday, 8 to 9 a.m. Have a great day, everybody. Remember that life is so fragile. Handle it with prayer. Bye-bye.